I never thought pulling the trigger would feel like exhaling after holding my breath for a decade. But there I was, fingers steady on the cold metal, staring down the barrel at the man who'd built his empire on my bones. The Christmas lights outside my motel window blinked like mocking fireflies, casting red and green shadows on the eviction notice from my own goddamn family home, the one I'd bled for, lied for, rotted in prison for. And as the snow piled up like unpaid debts, I whispered his name one last time, not in prayer, but in promise. This is for the kid I never got to hold. Harlan. They say blood is thicker than water, but in my family, it was always thinner than the lies we told to keep the facade intact. I'm Eden Harlow, 32 years old, with a rap sheet longer than the Mississippi and a heart scarred worse than the tattoos I got in county lockup. Growing up in the Rust Belt corpse of Youngstown, Ohio, Christmas wasn't about joy or Jesus, it was about survival. About scraping together enough for a turkey that didn't come from a food bank, and pretending Dad's bar tabs weren't drowning us. My brother Harlan was the golden boy, the one who could charm a snake out of its skin, while I was the fixer, the one who mopped up his messes with my own hands. It started when we were kids, Harlan and me against the world, or at least against Mom's endless shifts at the steel mill and Dad's ghost haunting the lazy boy with a fifth of Jack. Harlan was 2 years older, with that easy grin and eyes like polished obsidian, the kind that made teachers overlook his truancies and girls forgive his wandering hands. I worshipped him. We'd sneak out to the frozen creek behind the trailer park, him teaching me how to skip stones while spinning tales of the big life we'd escape to, mansions in Miami, Ferraris for breakfast. You're my shadow, Eddie, he'd say, ruffling my hair. But shadows get the glory when the light fades. By high school, the shadows were mine to bear. Harlan got hooked on oxy after football injury that ended his scholarship dreams, pills flowing like cheap beer at frat parties. I was the straight-A kid, valedictorian-bound, but family came first. I'd skip study hall to drive him to sketchy clinics in Cleveland, forging Mom's signature on intake forms, pocketing extras to sell for gas money. It was small stuff, the kind of sibling loyalty that feels noble until the feds knock. The real fracture came senior year. Harlan's dealer, a greasy weasel named Rico from the east side, got pinched in a sting. But Rico flipped like a bad pancake, naming Harlan as his supplier in exchange for a walk. Evidence? A duffel of fentanyl-laced pills stashed in our garage. The one Harlan swore was just for personal use. Cops swarmed the trailer at dawn, Mom screaming as they cuffed Harlan right there in his boxers. But he looked at me, those obsidian eyes pleading, and I cracked. It was mine, I told the detective, voice steady as I could make it. He didn't know. I was holding it for friend. Stupid.
Regrese Dan.
Taking the fall because blood's thicker.
Right?
Harlan got a slap on the wrist, probation, community service, while I got 18 months in Marysville, my college dreams evaporating like morning fog. Prison was a masterclass in American exceptionalism, underfunded, overcrowded, and soul-crushing. I learned to braid hair for the guards' daughters, traded commissary smokes for protection, and wrote letters home that Mom read aloud to Harlan over pot roast. Eden's tough, she'd say, her voice cracking. She'll be home before the leaves turn. But leaves turned, seasons blurred. And when I walked out those razor wire gates on a muggy July morning, the world had shifted. Harlan had cleaned up, or so they said, landed a job at a startup in Pittsburgh, met a girl named Tessa with trust fund teeth and a law degree. They were engaged by fall, wedding bells clanging while I couch surfed in Akron, piecing together a life from barista gigs and night classes I couldn't afford. Christmas that year was supposed to be redemption. Mom called in November, her voice tinny over the line. Harlan's got big news.
Eddie. Come home.
The whole family's gathering, cousins from Cleveland, even Aunt Ruth with her fruitcake sins. I scraped together bus fare, bought a poinsettia from the dollar store, and showed up at the old trailer, now a squat ranch house in Girard. Courtesy of Harlan's hustle. The driveway was clogged with Suburbans and a gleaming black Escalade that screamed new money. I knocked, poinsettia wilting in the chill, and Tessa answered, her smile Botox tight.
Eden.
Oh my God. It's been forever. She air-kissed my cheek, but her eyes flicked to the flower like it was roadkill. Inside, the air smelled of pine and prime rib, Bing Crosby crooning from hidden speakers. Mom enveloped me in a hug that smelled of menthols and regret, whispering, "You look good, baby." Strong. Harlan was holding court by the tree, a 6-foot monstrosity dripping ornaments like Scrooge McDuck's vault. He pulled me into a bear hug, his cologne expensive and overpowering.
Sis.
The prodigal returns. Laughter rippled, cousins toasting with eggnog spiked heavy. But as the night wore on, the glow faded. Whispers slithered. Heard she did time for drugs. Harlan's too good for that association now. By dessert, Tessa's hand rested possessively on Harlan's knee, and Mom's eyes darted like she was bracing for impact. Then Harlan stood, clinking his glass with a spoon that echoed like a gavel. "Family," he said, that grin flashing. "Tessa and I have something to share." The room hushed. He dropped to one knee, dramatic, rehearsed, and pulled a ring from his pocket, a diamond that caught the lights like a sniper's scope. "Will you make me the luckiest man in Ohio?" Cheers erupted. Hugs.
Tears.
I clapped until my palms stung, but inside, something curdled. As the cake was sliced, Harlan sidled up, whispering, "Eddie, listen, we're starting fresh. New house in the Berg. Maybe kids soon. But the past, you know, it lingers. Tessa's folks are old money, they Google."
His eyes.
Those damn eyes. Pleaded again. "Just lay low for a bit. After the wedding, we'll sort you out. Promise. Lay low. At Christmas. In my own blood's house." I nodded, throat tight, and slipped out to the porch as snow flurried down. The cold bit like truth. That's when the first crack spiderwebbed, Harlan's phone buzzing on the railing. Screen lighting up with a text. "Rico out."
Talking. "Clean this up."
My stomach dropped. Rico, the dealer. Out of prison early for good behavior. And now snitching? About the pills.
About me.
Harlan snatched the phone, but not before I saw the fear flash. "It's nothing," he muttered. "Go inside."
Eddie.
It's family time. But family time had run out. I crashed on the couch that night, waking to the stench of burnt coffee and Tessa's glare. "Harlan's asleep," she said, handing me a styrofoam cup. "We need to talk." She sat, legs crossed like a deposition. "Look, Aiden, your blood."
But this.
Narrative. The arrest. The time served. It's toxic. Harlan's on the cusp, VP at this fintech thing. Investors sniffing around. One whiff of scandal. She trailed off. But the implication hung. You're the scandal. We're selling the house after the wedding. Mom's moving in with us. but space is tight. Therapy. Boundaries, you get it. No room. At Christmas. The words landed like fists. I packed my duffel before dawn, leaving the poinsettia on the kitchen table like a middle finger wrapped in foil. The bus back to Akron was a blur of gray highways and half-frozen tears. But betrayal doesn't dissolve in salt water. It ferments. Back in my efficiency apartment, peeling wallpaper, radiator hissing like a curse, I pulled out the shoebox from under the bed. Letters from prison, Mom's shaky script promising better days, and buried at the bottom, the one Harlan wrote on yellow legal pad. Eddie, you're saving me.
I'll make it right.
Blood forever.
Lies.
The text came 2 days later. Christmas Eve, Harlan. Rico's dead.
Ottinelli.
Cops calling it accident.
But.
We need to talk.
Come back.
My pulse thrummed.
Accident?
Or cleanup. I googled it. Local news. Buried in the holiday fluff. Local man found deceased. Suspected overdose. No mentions of Harlan. But the pieces clicked. His hustle wasn't fintech. It was the same game. Laundered through apps and crypto wallets. He'd climbed by climbing over me. And now the ladder was wobbling. That's when the plan took root. Black and thorny as the U in Grandma's graveyard. Revenge isn't a lightning bolt. It's a slow poison. Dropped 1 milliliter at a time. I started small, anonymous tips to Tessa's daddy's firm. Whispers of Harlan's side gigs, to a PI buddy from lockup. But Harlan was cunning. A chameleon in khakis. He'd flip the script, call me crying. Eddie, it's all for us, for Mom's hip surgery. The house. Then radio silence. Or worse. Gifts, a check for $500. Scrawled love. Bro, like it erased the bars I'd worn. By spring, the wedding loomed like a guillotine. Invites arrived. Elegant stock paper, Mr. and Mrs. Harlan Harlow request. No +1 for the felon sister. I RSVP'd yes. Because showing up is half the kill. The ceremony was in Pittsburgh's Cathedral District. Stained glass bleeding color on silk-clad guests. I wore a thrift store sheath. Hair pinned like armor. And slipped in the back pew. Harlan at the altar. Vows smooth as oiled lies. In sickness. Health. Forsaking all others. Tessa glowed. But I saw the fracture lines, her eyes scanning the crowd for threats. After. At the reception in some Omni ballroom. Champagne flutes clinking like chains. I cornered him by the dessert bar. Congrats, big brother. Rico's ghost says hi. His face drained. Fork hovering over tiramisu. What the fuck? Eden? Not here. But I leaned in. Voice honey over venom. You think an accident buries it? I know about the drops. The mules. Your fintech? Front for laundering. He laughed. Brittle. Paranoid much? That was kid shit. I'm clean. But his eyes darted to Tessa, laughing with her sorority sisters. And I knew he wasn't just flipping scripts, he was rewriting the book. That night, driving back through the Alleghenies, radio crackling with static, I felt the hook sink deeper. Betrayal's a mirror. It shows you the monster you always suspected was there.
But mine?
It was gilded, wrapped in holly and family photos. And as the miles blurred, I vowed, Christmas next year, there'd be room at the inn for reckoning. Summer in Ohio is a steam bath of regret, humidity clinging like unspoken accusations. I spent it grinding double shifts at the coffee joint, nights hunched over a borrowed laptop, digging through Harlan's digital detritus. Turns out, prison teaches you more than shank making. It hones the art of the long con. Using a VPN from the library and a burner app, I posed as a recruiter, friending his LinkedIn circle. Tess's posts were a goldmine: brunches in Shadyside, yogurt treats in Napa, captions dripping blessed. But buried in her stories, Harlan's late nights, networking in dive bars across the river. The secret I'd buried for him wasn't just the pills, it was the fire. 2 months before the bust, Harlan torched a rival dealer's stash house in Warren. Insurance scam gone wrong. Flames licking up vinyl siding. A neighbor's dog caught in the blaze. Cops pegged it as gang shit. But Harlan panicked. Confessed to me in a whiskey stupor. I didn't mean. The accelerant got away. I covered alibi witness at the corner store, swearing he was with me. Took the accessory heat when the feds looped it to the drugs. My sentence? Bumped 6 months for obstruction. His zilch. Because shadows don't testify.
Now,
with wedding confetti still itching my skin, I weaponized it. First leak to Tess's firm. An ethical inquiry about a client's ties to arson fraud, and signed, but laced with Harlan's old mugshot from a bar fight. She called him from the office, voice shrill enough to carry through the walls in my imagination. He texted me furious. What the hell? Back off. Eden. You're ruining everything. I replied with a photo, the yellow letter from prison. His handwriting damning. It was me.
Eddie.
The fire. Don't let them know. Crickets. He flipped then. The chameleon shedding skin. Showed up at my door in August. Rain-slicked and desperate. A bottle of Grey Goose dangling like an olive branch. Eddie. Please. We sat on my sagging stoop, passing the bottle. Fireflies winking like conspirators. He spilled. The fintech was real, but layered, crypto trades masking kickbacks from old suppliers. Rico's accident, a silenced plea deal, courtesy of a crooked medic in county. I did it for us, he said, eyes wet. Mom's cancer, stage 3.
Eddie.
The treatments, the experimental shit. It costs. Your cut's coming, I swear.
Lies.
But laced with half-truth, Mom's latest skin showed spots. Her voice on the phone frail as tissue. Pity cracked my armor. Just a hair. We hugged. Him murmuring apologies. Me inhaling that expensive cologne mixed with desperation. But as he drove off in the Escalade, I saw the tail a nondescript sedan. Plates from Cleveland. Harlan's paranoia? Or protection? I tailed it back to a warehouse in the industrial flats. Chain link rattling in the wind. Peering through gaps, I caught glimpses. Crates stamped pharma supplies. Shadows unloading duffels. His networking. Autumn brought the pivot. Tessa filed for separation. Leaks working their rot. Harlan called. Voice shattered. She's taking half.
Eddie.
The house. The savings. Says I'm unstable. Schadenfreude tasted bitter. Like oversteeped tea. But he flipped again, charm offensive, inviting me to Mom's chemo appointment in Canton. The waiting room smelled of bleach and despair. Magazines dog-eared to death.
Mom.
Balled under her scarf. Gripped my hand. Your brother's lost. Baby. But you're my rock. Harlan paced. Phone glued to ear. Barking orders. When Mom dozed, he pulled me aside. Help me fix this. One job, deliver a package to Erie.
Cash.
No questions. For her. The package was a brick of unmarked bills, heavy as guilt. I drove the turnpike at midnight, wipers slapping rain, radio tuned to static. Erie was a ghost town of motels and mills, the drop at a truck stop glowing neon. The contact, tattooed ex-con. Eyes like Harlan's muttered. Harlow sends regards. Regards? Or a setup? I pocketed a finder's fee from the envelope, but unease nod. Back home, I laundered my cut through a casino ATM, then dug deeper. The bills traced to a Ponzi hitting retirees in Florida. Harlan wasn't climbing. He was a vortex, sucking in the vulnerable. Thanksgiving was a farce, me alone with a TV dinner. Watching the parade floats bob like drowned dreams. Harlan texted a turkey emoji, then radio silence. Mom called, whispering, he's spiraling. Eden. Tessa's lawyered up. And theirs.
Talk.
Cops sniffing old cases. The fire.
Rico.
My fall. It bubbled up, hot and accusatory. I drove to Gerard unannounced, pounding on the ranch house door. Harlan answered, disheveled, whiskey on his breath. Eddie?
Shit.
Come in. The place was gutted, furniture gone, walls echoing. Selling, he said, shrugging. Fresh start. We sat at the barren kitchen table. Him spinning yarns. Tessa's the villain.
Gaslighting me.
But you get it. Blood. He poured shots, toasting to us. But as the liquor burned, he leaned in, voice low. That package? It bought Mom time. And you. You're in now. Partners. Partners. The word twisted like a knife. I laughed.
Sharp.
Partners? Like when I took your rap. Or when you let Rico rot while I swung. His face hardened, the chameleon molting to predator. You think you're clean? That delivery feds trace it. It's on you. We sink together.
Threat.
The first real one. I left at dawn. Snow dusting the windshield. Resolve crystallizing. Christmas loomed again. A second chance at the inn or the manger of my making. I reached out to Aunt Ruth, the family black sheep who'd cut ties after Dad's funeral. Now a paralegal in Columbus. Over diner coffee, her eyes sharp behind bifocals. Harlan's always been a snake. Eden. But you deserve the skin. She dug court docs, sealed files, and unearthed the gem, Harlan's signature on Mom's medical proxy, diverting insurance payouts to offshore accounts. Stealing from the dying. The plan escalated. I fed it to Tessa's lawyer anonymously. Then played the long game, holiday cards to cousins, seeds of doubt in group chats. Harlan's changed. Or has he? Responses trickled. Heard he's in deep again. Harlan felt it, lashing out, voicemails slurred with rage. You're dead to me.
Eddie.
Flip to plea. Help.
Sis.
They're coming.
Who?
Cops? Creditors? The web tightened. Christmas Eve. I showed up at the ranch, uninvited, gift in hand, a USB drive etched truth. Snow blanketed the lawn like a shroud, lights strung haphazardly. Mom answered, frail in her robe. Eden, he said you weren't coming. Harlan lurked in the hall, jaw set. No tree. No feast, just takeout pizza congealing on paper plates. No room, he said flatly, echoing last year's script. But then the stun. He stepped aside, gesturing to the living room. Come in. We need to end this. The air crackled. tense as a storm front. He plugged in the drive. Screen flickering to life. Bank logs. Wire transfers. My forged confession scanned and timestamped his insurance policy against me.
See? We're tied.
But Mom. He glanced at her, dozing on the couch.
She's why.
The cancer's in her liver now. I cooked the books for treatments. You exposed me. She dies uninsured. Leverage. Emotional barbed wire. I sat, heart hammering. And the fire? Rico? My 18 months. He shrugged. Controversial calculus. Collateral. For family. The room spun. Decisions fracturing. Forgive or fire? Outside. Carols warbled from neighbors, mocking the divide. I pocketed the drive. Voice steel. Merry Christmas,
Harlan.
see you in hell. But as I walked into the night, his parting shot echoed. You leave. She pays. Polarizing. Was he monster or martyr? My revenge teetered. The hook lodged deep. New Year's in Youngstown is a hangover of fireworks and foreclosures. Resolutions whispered to empty bottles. Mine? Burn it down metaphorically. At first. But Harlan's web was stickier than I reckoned, threads looping back to snag me. January brought the subpoena, State of Ohio v. Harlow et al. Rico's cold case cracked open by a dogged DA. Forensics tying the accident to Harlan's prints on a stray syringe. My name surfaced too, witness. Accomplice. Aunt Ruth's leaks had boomeranged. I lawyered up with a public defender named Sal, a chain-smoking cynic with a desk buried in plea deals. Your brother's a pro, he grunted over bad coffee. Flipping states to cut immunity. You? Leverage if you roll. Roll on blood? The thought curdled. But survival's a bitch. Harlan called from a burner. Testify against me. Eden. Clean slate for you. Mom's care covered. Flip again, self-preservation masked as sacrifice. I hung up, dialing Tessa instead. She'd decamped to her parents' McMansion in Fox Chapel, but answered warily. Eden? This better be good.
It was.
I met her at a neutral Starbucks. Snow melting to slush outside. Over lattes. I slid printouts, the proxy fraud. Offshore siphons. He's bleeding her dry, I said. Tessa's face crumpled. Not shock, recognition. I knew. Suspected. But love blinds. She flipped. A lying tentative. Divorce is final next month. I'll testify financials.
But you?
The fire alibi. Her eyes narrowed. Perjury. You're as dirty. True. No innocence here. Just degrees of rot. We parted uneasy comrades. Her parting. This family's poison. Run when you can. February dragged. Court dates looming like storm clouds. Mom worsened. Hospice talks. Morphine drips. I visited weekly. The hospital a sterile purgatory of beeps and bleach. She gripped my hand, murmuring, Proud of you.
Eddie.
Always were the strong one. Harlan lurked in corners. Charming nurses. But his eyes were hollow. The chameleon molting to husk. One night, post-chemo, he cornered me in the vending machine glow. She's dying because of you.
Me?
The accusation landed like shrapnel. Your leaks, your vendetta, stressed her into remission fail. Gaslight, pure and vicious. But doubt wormed in. Was my revenge the accelerant this time? Decisions piled. Controversial forks. Testify. Betray blood. Save self? Or shield him? Sink deeper? Sal pushed the deal. Immunity for full confession. Harlan takes the fall. Manslaughter.
Fraud. 10 years.
Maybe less. Tempting. But the mirror mocked. I'd be the sister who ratted. The shadow who stole the light. Instead, I played double agent, fed Sal half-truths, stalled Harlan with vague loyalties. Meanwhile, I hacked deeper burner laptop, dark web tutorials, his crypto wallet drained to a ghost address. Revenges, petty cash. Spring thawed the ice, but not the chill. Tessa's testimony dropped first, April hearing. Her in pencil skirt and pearls, voice steady. Embezzlement for my mother-in-law's policy. Harlan seethed in the gallery. Shooting me glares like bullets. His flip came swift, plea for leniency, blaming external pressures. Me, unnamed but implied. My sister's instability post-incarceration exacerbated. The courtroom buzzed. Judges' gavel cracking like thunder.
Mom.
Wheeled in for impact. Wept silently. Polarizing, hero or heel. Reporters swarmed post-adjournment. Mics thrusting. MS. Harlow. Family divided. I pushed through. No comment. But inside.
The divide yawned.
May brought the twist I didn't see. A letter from prison, not Harlan's. But Dad's old flame. A woman named Lila from his barfly days. Postmarked Vegas. Scrawled in faded ink. Eden. Your father's secret wasn't the bottle. Harlan's not blood. Switched at birth. Hospital mix-up. 89. I know because. The paper shook in my hands. Harlan my brother? Or stranger? DNA test kit arrived next day. Swabbed in sterile silence. Results 2 weeks later. 0.01% relation. Imposter. The world tilted. All those years, worship, sacrifice for a lie? Mom confirmed. Tear-streaked call. Harlan's ma died in childbirth. We took him in. Hush-hush adoption. Your dad. He never bonded.
But you.
Eddie, you were ours. Betrayal squared. Deep as marrow. Harlan knew. Flashes, his easy charm. Always the outsider's edge. The fire. The fall, using a sister's devotion without the DNA tie. Rage boiled. You dark and absolute. I confronted him pre-trial. Visitor's booth at county. Plexiglass smudged. Brother? Or thief? He blinked. Then laughed cold. Unmasked. Does it change anything? You took the hit anyway. Flip final, no remorse. Just calculus. Testify. Get your freedom. I'll spin the jury. Abused adoptee. Bad influences. Monstrous. Mired in half-truths. I walked out. Plan crystallizing. Not just revenge, reclamation. June sweltered. Trial peaking. I took the stand. Voice even. He confessed the fire to me. The drugs. I covered because. Family. Gasps rippled. Harlan's lawyer objected. Biased witness. But the seed rooted. Tessa corroborated finances. Sal wove the overdose thread. Jury deliberated 3 days. July 4th fireworks bursting ironic overhead. Verdict. Guilty. Arson accessory. Involuntary manslaughter.
Fraud.
15 years. No parole first 10. Climax hit post-sentencing. Courthouse steps slick with summer rain. Harlan.
Cuffed.
Twisted toward me. This is on you.
Eden.
Mom's last words? Your name, cursed. She'd passed overnight. Heart failure amid the stress.
His eyes.
Not obsidian now, glass. Shattered. I felt no triumph, just hollow. Reporters flashed. Sister's revenge or justice? Polarizing. Had I avenged? Or euthanized? The crowd split. Cheers from victim's kin. Jeers from his enablers. No heroes. Just survivors. But the hook twisted deeper. Driving home. Radio crackling news. Harlow verdict shakes Valley. Then. A call unknown. Eden? It's Lila. There's more. Your real brother.
Alive.
In Cali. Harlan knew, stole his inheritance too. The road blurred. Decisions cascading. Forgive the fraud? Hunt the ghost? Or let the ashes settle? Fall foliage in Ohio is a pyre of regrets. Leaves crunching under tires like brittle bones. Harlan's appeals dragged into August. His letters from SCI Houtsdale a barrage. First vitriol, you Judas bitch. Rotting mom's grave, then contrition. Right back.
Eddie.
Blood or not. We shared scars. I burned them in a backyard fire pit. Flames devouring ink. But the ash clung. Tessa reached out post-divorce. Settlement fat. Half the fraud recovery yours. For the tip. Wired 10 grand. Enough for a fresh start. But money's a bandage. Not a cure. The real unraveling came in September. Lila's breadcrumbs leading west. She met me in a dusty Reno diner. Her face a roadmap of sun and sin. Harlan's eyes. But softer. Your birth mom, me. Hooked with your dad during his benders. Twins. Harlan's brother you never knew. And you. Hospital lost track. We got you. They got him, raised as Jacob in Oakland. Jacob. My phantom twin. The secret Harlan unearthed in Dad's lockbox post-funeral. Then buried to claim the Harlow name solo. Inheritance? Dad's mill pension. Peanuts but principal, diverted to Harlan's hustle. I flew to Cali on Tessa's dime. Nerves jangling like loose change. Oakland's hills rolled gritty. Murals splashed on shotgun houses. Jacob lived in a converted warehouse loft, artist. Tattooed arms inked with circuits and crows. Eyes like mine, wary hazel. Eden, he said over IPAs at a brewpub. Voice tentative. The tests don't lie. We talked till closing, shared non-memories. The void of stolen siblings. He knew of Harlan. Mom. Our bio. Died young. OD irony. I scraped by. But no one's stealing my light now. No grudge. Just quiet strength. For the first time, blood felt earned, not owed. Back east. The climax brewed, not bullets, but ballots of the soul. Harlan's last flip, a jailhouse deal. Ratting on his suppliers for reduction. Feds swooped. Chain reaction, his network crumbling. Indictments raining. He called collect. Voice broken. It's over. Eddie.
But you.
You won. Or did you?
Pause.
Heavy. Jacob? He's the mark now. I sent feelers old debts. His address. To protect you. I said nothing. But they'll come. Protection? Or poison pill? The chameleon's final molt. Villainy veiled as vigilance. Tension peaked Thanksgiving me. Jacob via video. Mom's empty chair ghost. Snow fell early, blanketing the ranch I'd bought with Tessa's wire. Modest.
Meaning.
But midnight brought the knock. 2 suits. Badges gleaming.
Eden Harlow?
Associates of your brother. Possible material witness. Harlan's gift, dragging shadows to my door. I lawyered Sal. Stonewalled. But the divide cracked wide. Testify on the network. Bury associates. Risk Jacob's peace? Or shield? Perpetuate the cycle? The decision came dawn. Coffee bitter as fate. I met the feds at a neutral Waffle House. Terms dictated. Immunity extension. Harlan's sentence commuted for a full coup. He's the snake, I said, voice steady. Cut the head. They nodded. But eyes skeptical. Another flipper? News hit by noon. Harlow empire crumbles. Sister testifies. Reporters camped my driveway. Mics thrusting. Redemption or retaliation? Polarizing encore. Justice's cost. Or vengeance's veil. Jacob texted. Proud.
Sis.
But careful. Mirrors lie. Winter gripped tight. Christmas Eve a mirror of last. Snow swirling. Lights winking. I strung the tree solo, ornaments from Mom's attic. Harlan's boyhood scrawls etched in wood. No room? I'd made my own. But the stun came courier. Manila envelope. Postmarked Houtsdale. Inside. Harlan's confession. Hologram will. Assets rerouted. The ranch deed. Residual crypto. A letter. Eddie. Not blood.
But choice.
I took.
You gave.
This evens it. Forgive?
Nah. But live. Ash.
Flip ultimate. Deathbed? No. Suicide watch notes attached. His deal, a feint to end the game on his terms. Inmate found hanged. Sheets twisted like nooses of regret. The world stuttered. Cops ruled self. But whispers. Pushed? My hand? No, his calculus. Controversial close. Martyr or coward? I scattered his ashes in the creek, where we skipped stones. Jacob at my side. Wind whipping eulogies unsaid. He was broken, Jacob murmured. But so were we. No happy ever after, just tentative dawn. The enroomie for two. Twist lingers. Was Harlan's end absolution? Or accusation? Debate rages in my head. Forums buzz Harlow saga. Heroic fall or calculated exit? Readers me split. Villain redeemed. Or victimizer to the grave? I choose neither. Just forward. Blood's thinner than resolve, but thicker than snow. Merry Christmas.
Ghosts.
Rooms open but knock first.